Hi, everybody. Jessica Morrison, Realtor with Century 21 Sheets, back for another small business highlight. This time we sit down with Leah Hartzell and Bulldogs Moving Company. Leah, thank you so much for coming on tonight.
Yeah, thank you, Jessica. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, it's fun how it's come full circle. We met at Indiana Wesleyan University and stayed in touch through the years. And I'll let you kind of speak into maybe your trajectory within business and how you guys got to where you are.
Yeah, so I'll share the Bulldogs moving story. We are about 2 years old. I'm the marketing manager, and then my husband, Seth, he's actually a co-founder, and him and his partner, Chris, started the business. Seth was in construction and he was a project manager and was used to managing a lot of different projects and had that skill, but looking for something else. And then his business partner actually had a lot of moving experiences in the industry, and they started this, and it's just been amazing to see kind of watch it grow and come to life, and we're just loving every day of it.
So basically, Seth dreamed of moving all the time. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, now he does. So he's always looking at new homes and saying we need to be on the move. But yeah, it was just the dream of, hey, let's start this business. We want to make a smooth process for people moving and just bring just the excitement and the service of moving, right? You're moving people's possessions. It's really personal. And we know the moving process can be stressful, and we're at the very end of it before you go into your new home. And we just wanted to create, okay, how can our business serve our customers and just make that final experience and them entering their new living space just all that we can.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely a need in the market. Some primary objections I see are usually cost associated. So how have you tried to marry affordability? Because we certainly want to pay people for their time. And I think there's just the reality that no one wants to accept as an adult that when you get older, certain things don't
Things
work
cost money.
quite. Well, there's that too, but just like, your back at 35 is not the back that you had when you're 25. And we do
Yeah.
everything we can to enable things to function properly. But I think as we age, there's some acceptance that comes with maybe relying on other people to help. So how have you guys managed affordability with that premium service?
Yes. So, from affordability standpoint, we try to provide the most accurate estimates we can as possible. So we always really recommend, if the homeowner is willing, us do an on-site estimate so we can go see their current home and just talk to them about affordability. We have some customers, to your point, don't want to do anything in the moving process. They say, hey, pack us all up, move everything. We don't want anything. We just want it in our new home. So we do offer full service, but then there are customers who want a more economical approach to their move, and we work with them and cater to their needs on that. So on-site estimates are the best because we can also walk through and help them think through, okay, like, is there anything you want to get rid of? Maybe sell it before you move, cut down on costs there, or here's how you can strategically pack and place your items. So when we come in, we don't have to do as much moving around the house. It can be more streamlined. And just that live estimate is really kind of where it's typically our estimators, Chris or Seth. So we like to have our co-owners go out to do the estimate. And that's where we can really talk through, okay, what is your need? And let's design a move plan that's specific for you. We always recommend, if people are getting other quotes, like, hey, have the other mover come out and do an on-site estimate, because it just really helps you give a better feel of what to expect with the home. So we want to provide upfront, hey, here's what we think it's going to cost. And on a good day, it'd be less, but we never want to like shorten the customers and then have them be paying way more than they expected in budget. So that's kind of like our philosophy. We want to just demonstrate as much integrity we can in the moving process with our estimates.
Yes, because everybody loves financial surprises.
Yeah, and there's some things, we can't control, like if and we always help them recommend think these too, like, okay, if they're in an apartment complex, is there a certain space that they can book to get that lock in the closest spot, or does their apartment complex do elevator booking to cut down on those costs? So there's so many just logistical pieces in moving that we really like to come in as experts and try to think through.
Which I think a big part of the moving process is what you're describing, the little details that pop up that matter so much that, especially if you don't move very often, can become quite the challenge. And I mean, it's not like moving ever also comes up at the most convenient time of life. I mean, you can try to be strategic, but sometimes, especially if you've got multiple kids and you're just bursting at the seams and this is the summer to move from point A to point B, maybe you're trying to get your kids in a different school district, trying to time that with family vacations and like travel club or summer camps. I mean, there's a lot going on that is in general disruptive to a family routine. Or if you're a professional, like a doctor, I mean, if you're working long shifts, you don't necessarily have the time, desire, or energy to go home and pack your house. And so trying to, I think it is going to be certainly respective of the client or descriptive of what they need and what their lifestyle looks like. But yes, it's really interesting how there are so many little details that come up in moving that you can't foresee, or unless you partner with the right people to help point those out to you. And what's maybe a favorite story or maybe a crazy story that kind of speaks into that?
Yeah, trying to think crazy stories. A lot of times, it's so sad, but we'll get customers call the day of and say, "Hey, our mover backed out on us. Like, can you help us?" And so those are always really rewarding because we'll say, "Okay, let's call in more guys, move things around, and just really do everything we can." So we've had a few of those stories. Probably
Wow.
one though that happened most recently this week. We had delivered to our facility 4 thank you cards that were personalized thank you notes addressed to a moving crew that the homeowner had sent. And it was actually even from a move at the end of April. But she had meant to send a thank you note and kept forgetting and still wanted to do it. Like, so even months later, she remembered the guy's name and wrote them a really personal thank you note. So that was kind of the neat story that happened this week.
Yeah, I saw your post on social media about that. I love it. People don't, I think a lot of times they mean to say thank you, and sometimes that takes the form of a review, but it's really fascinating how much that thank you card it's such a small gesture, but it really means a lot. And maybe it's dependent on the person, but I love that you guys delivered that service because it yielded that kind of result. So that's really cool. Is there anything that you feel, if I was a client interviewing different moving companies, you certainly have your franchise models, but then you also have small businesses. How do you see, are there traditional problems that you see that come up in franchise models versus local businesses? Do you think that one is maybe better than the other, or maybe just speak into the models first and then we can kind of go from there?
Yeah. Well, ultimately, we always want people to use Bulldogs, but if there's like a date we can't work for a customer, something's not working out, we really recommend local companies. We just have seen, we want like people to get the best service possible. We've seen just that more personalized touch. And also to be thinking about too, when people are relocating like states, if they are hiring like a local move company, that their stuff will all be on the truck and get there on the same date. But a lot of times people hire big bulk movers that will mix people's stuff together and you won't know what date you get it. So we just kind of tell people, hey, be aware of that. Some options might be cheaper, but you need to think about how's your stuff going to be place isn't going to be with other people, how's it going to be delivered, and different things like that. So we usually encourage local whenever we can't provide the service, and that's just kind of our personal recommendation.
Yeah, I can't believe that I've heard of stories where families belongings get lost or stolen, and it's like when you've moved yourself, it's like, okay, you pick up the truck and you move it from point A to point B, and you might have a rest stop overnight. But I think understanding the logistics of how some of these larger companies do that is, like, I agree, really important. So are you going to Alaska then, or just the continental?
So we have done a lot of different states. Alaska's not one of them yet. This summer we were all over the place. We were at Texas, Florida, South Carolina, multiple ones to Atlanta. I think we've done about like 13 different states. We have actually a map, and wherever we do a new state, we put a little paw print on there. So working on getting all the states done, but Texas has been our farthest.
Yeah, and that's a very popular one. It seems like for relocation, that seems to be really high this year. And families that I've talked to, that in California, which is consistent with market data on where people are moving to or from. Maybe, how do you feel about the timeline of things? Like, when should somebody call for scheduling? How sorry, sometimes I come up with these questions on the fly.
No,
But
kind of when's the ideal to think about calling the moving company in the process?
yes,
That
because I think sometimes, like you outlined, like people just assume you could be available the day of, or don't maybe realize how far out you guys were booked. So how does that work?
Yeah. So obviously the earlier you can communicate is always better, but we know that doesn't work with everyone's schedule. I like to encourage people and give my advice on, hey, if you know you're moving, go ahead, call and want to get a moving company, call the moving company, have them come and do the on-site estimate, and they can give you initial ballpark. Hey, here's what you're looking at to budget for. And then once you get the house you're moving into, just check to make sure logistically it still aligns up. But I always say the earlier the better, just in that. And then also we can give ideas on, okay, here's how you can start saving money, or here's suggestions on packing, and just kind of give them plenty of time in that process. And even if they don't have the like close date set, or know their exact location they're moving, we can still give them a good ballpark. Here's what you should be budgeting. And then we can also know, okay, you guys are looking to move around this date. We can kind of block it off on our calendar and know we still have availability that week. Make sure we have plenty of crews to do whatever jobs we need to. So I say the earliest possible. But yeah, there are calls we get day of, or a lot of times people start the moving process and be like, I'm done. Can you come in 2 days and help get it? We're just tired. Can you guys come help? So we try to take calls as much as we can, as long as it works with the schedule. But yeah, I would say earlier the better. And then, but really call us whenever you are in a pinch or need it too as well.
So basically you're Superman.
We try. Yeah, we
You
try
add
to
a
be the
cape.
Superman of moving.
Yeah, a cape to the bulldog.
Love that idea.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you guys are saving the day all the time, I mean, and it's something we don't always hear about on the realtor side of things. Like, a lot of times, I mean, you keep an open dialogue with your clients, but sometimes people just want to be independent and do things themselves. And I'm always ready to handhold, but people like to be creative or problem solve, or sometimes they already have solutions that they want to use your relationships, and all of that's great. But sometimes you don't always hear what happens after the fact. And I think also some of that's just the fact that moving is kind of crazy. So yeah, that's really fascinating. How
Can I say one more thing, Jessica, I thought of too?
Sure. Yeah.
And on the like scheduling a date and when to call movers, we work really hard to be flexible, because a lot of times we know when people are calling us, they're not going to be able to tell us the set date, or closing will get pushed back a few days and we have to adjust. So we recognize in the industry we have to work at being flexible, and it's kind of something we enjoy, right? Always figuring out what's the puzzle piece, and figuring out how can we serve our customers.
Yeah, that's really great because I have a closing tomorrow, Lord will. no, Thursday, re-inspects tomorrow. It's the second re-inspect, newer home, and, had to get some corrections done, which for the situation, it's fine, but, down to the wire, not usual for most deals. And, I can't talk at length about this until it closes, but, it's just been an interesting transaction, and it's a testament of what you just described. Sometimes, we work with contractors and we make sure that everybody's staying on track, but sometimes there's a question mark. And, I would say that's the first one in many years that hasn't closed or, been a guarantee, but so it's a cash sale. It'll be all right. So I feel like when I go to pack, I've moved a lot. There was one point where I moved 6 times in 1 year, Leah.
So you're a moving pro.
Feels like it. I get such a big grin on my face when I stretch that tape out across the box and putting boxes together. And then it's my goal as soon as I move somewhere to unpack fully within 3 days. Like I want the boxes out of the house, because then you're more likely to get it all done and put away. And my hack is to not turn the Wi-Fi on until you're done. Theoretically, not everybody will agree with that, but I've developed some tips and strategies over the years of how to just really make it seamless, but I'm super curious if there's any tips that you feel really stand out with advising clients to make this process a bit more organized in the chaos.
Yeah, I think our tip we always give people is label the boxes. That even just saves so much time and say, hey, this is from the kitchen. It goes in the kitchen. If you can even put more detail what's in the boxes, that's always great. But labeling them, properly packing them with the different supports. And I think too, not over packing. So many people try to stuff everything in the box and then you go to lift and it just falls apart. But really if people are doing the packing, how they pack it can really drastically affect how long it takes movers to move. We've seen a lot of very scary storage units that we've opened and moving someone, and boxes are just falling out left and right. So packing, not over the packing the boxes. We recommend put really heavy stuff in the lighter boxes, so then you'll be less likely to fill them really heavy. So those are kind of our keys in packing.
Yeah. All of that. Sometimes I feel like Monica Geller with the, like you can go the length of stickers and color coordinating things. I definitely agree with labeling, doing multiple sides, because then if the box gets put in one direction, if you turn it, it's at least visible on both sides. I always recommend standing at the bottom of the truck. So then when people are, and you're welcome to disagree with this because you've got your systems, but stand at the bottom of the truck and have one person directing where the boxes are going. Cause then you can be a bit more specific, oh, this box goes in the second bedroom. And then you get all of the boxes in the rooms that they need to go in, rather than just unloading in the garage and having to deal with that, especially if there's multiple flights of stairs.
Yeah, and I think if homeowners are available during the move process, that helps save them so much time too on their end, for hourly rates when they're available to be there. Just direct our workers so then they can just keep moving and going strong.
Yeah, I think our last move was done loading to unloading in 2.5 hours. Whew. I don't know if that's fast. It felt fast, but we had a good crew too of friends and stuff who helped. But and then I think my other tip is when you take the boxes out to the garage as you're preparing to move, not only label them but put them in categories. So put all of your kitchen boxes together, and then that way, as hopefully you're loading the truck, depending on how you load, everything stays together. So then when you're taking everything out, it's going room by room. So sometimes that doesn't always work.
Yes.
I laughed about the weight of the boxes because I have totally been known to overpack with books.
Yeah, books are the heavy ones.
So, how about this? Like, let's say you've got a couple of local companies on the docket that somebody's looking to interview. What questions should they be asking?
Definitely making sure that the moving company is insured is key. And not just insured, but looking at their reviews. How do they handle customers? In the moving industry, no matter how careful you are, every company is going to have certain items, that just can get broken in the process. But what is their effort in like repairing them? Talking to them on that. I think too, also making sure that the workers are their employees and consistent people. Sometimes moving companies can like outsource different crews. And it's just different when you have as a company, your own employees working for you who know the systems, been trained, and you can trust them. So that's something else to ask. Um, and then I think just also communicating what's really important to you. Um, is budget the really sensitive item, or is it no, we want extra caution? So go above and beyond in how we want to take care of things, communicating as a homeowner what's important to you so the moving company knows. We always ask homeowners too, is there anything that's like extra sacred valuable? Like one time we moved, this is a crazy move too, a jukebox that had been in like the family for generations. So we went through so many extra precautions, had even extra guys come in, so it was this huge thing. So just making your movers too, maybe not questions to ask, but hey, here are things to be aware about. So then you can say like, do you have the crew available to do that? Can they take care of it? Things like that.
Sure. So if a company just says that they're insured, is that sufficient, or is there documentation that they should see before?
Um, Yeah, we have, I think, only once been asked for actual the documentation of the insurance. So most people kind of trust the word of mouth insurance. The moving like standard insurance, if they have insurance, well, they'll have like this, it's like 60 cents per pound of the item. Which depending on the item, right, that could drastically, if it's a heavy item, it's gonna look a lot different than if it's something that's really valuable, light. So even though we have our insurance, if there ever is a claim, we're going above and beyond the insurance. So I guess too, finding a company that is going to work with you as well, just because insurance, depending on the item, doesn't always like cover it the best. So we like to go above and beyond and working with that.
Oh, insurance.
I think too, if you're moving cross states too, making sure they're insured to move you out of state, because you have to have specific insurance to move out of state borders.
Yeah, wouldn't have thought about that, but it makes a lot of sense. How do you feel about, like, sometimes you see people advertise like, hey, we sell packing supplies, you can use our packing supplies, like if it's like a recyclable blanket, or are there supplies that clients can purchase from you, or are you good at referring to people? And then also, are there other services around the idea of moving that you guys help with?
Yeah. So as far as like materials we always provide plenty of blankets and straps for the job. And then if a customer is ever like wanting to purchase that from us, they can. For example, if they're wanting us to help pack and load up a U-Haul and then they want to drive it to their next destination, they'll usually purchase those from us because we'll have them on hand. So we like to have our own blankets and straps just so the crew is familiar with them, and we use them. We don't want homeowners to have to go have an extra expense. As far as packing materials, a lot of times the homeowners will tell us like, hey, if you're doing packing, usually it's they want us to just handle all getting the right materials and bringing the boxes. We typically bring the boxes just so we know they get the right sizing and everything to complete the full job. Different things that they can be saving though or leaving out. like two, how can you use like different t-shirts or blankets you have to wrap stuff in the boxes, to not then add a bunch of packing supplies as well, where that's applicable. We try to encourage people there as well.
Yeah, and that's so smart. Like socks are a great resource for a number of things with moving.
Mm-hmm.
Just whether or not you want to track down your laundry or have to wash a bunch of laundry after that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we do offer some junk removal services. It's an additional fee, but it's kind of based on like how much items they're wanting to get rid of and things like that. So we do offer junk removal. And then we're working on developing a relationship with a cleaning company as well that could do the cleaning and come in after we move them out and just do a quick clean through of the area.
Sure. What about like off jobs? Like say somebody wants to buy a baby grand piano that they found. Um, is that something you guys could assist with, or would you prefer to just focus on moving from house to house?
Yeah, that's a great question. A lot is a case by case. So certain pianos, our estimator really knows where we can specialize, and then where do we recommend people who just move pianos, because that is a niche where they're just moving pianos. So a lot depends on the setup of the piano that our estimator handles. But we do get a lot of calls where someone's like, "Hey, I just bought this on Marketplace. Can you pick up this furniture, drop it off my house?" And we're like, yep, here would be the cost. And if you're interested, we're happy to do that. We help move a lot of like gun safes too, and those just like really heavy items, things like that. We do get a lot of calls that aren't just a full house move, but helping people move furniture. We even have calls or reoccurring customers too who are like, hey, can you just come help us move furniture around our house? We want to readjust. And
Yeah.
we can do that.
Okay. So for somebody who's maybe not used a moving company before, and I don't know if this is a question you can answer, but if I was to say like, if it was a 1-story, 3-bed, 2-bath, 2,000 square foot house, do you know like roughly what that price point would be, or is it more dependent on obviously the stuff that's in it?
Yeah, good question. Our estimator would be able to give like a general, hey, here's the cost you're looking for. And then he'd also like be able to ask the different questions like, are there any heavy items? We can figure out there's a bulk fee.
Yeah.
What's the layout? So we can always give initial pricing. We don't have to go to an on-site estimate, because we do get calls and we say, okay, based off the knowledge you've given us, here's what the rough estimate is.
Mhm.
We do those over the phone all the time.
Okay, that's fair. Plus, you can fill 2,000 square feet with a lot of stuff. So, uh, that's certainly understandable. I think is
Yeah, that is a very true point in what we see. Like a lot of times too, 2,000 square feet for one person could look completely different for another.
yes. Especially if people are utilizing their garage for storage. It's surprising how many homes I've shown over the years where that is not a space people park in regularly. It's just another storage space. And so I think when you're walking around your house trying to factor in what to package or move, I think sometimes things that catch people off guard. With a couple of minutes left, is there anything that you really want to leave our audience with, or any favorite stories or testimonials that you want to pass on?
Yeah, that's a great question. Shared just a couple of those favorite stories. But I think really just summarizing, shouting out our team members. We have amazing movers, really love the culture and team environment that our owners, Seth and Chris, have set. We try to find just really quality people who are going to come in and we can trust and do a good job. I think we really value trustworthiness, because having people come to your home is nerve-wracking, right? You have your family, you have all your possessions, and we just want them to feel at ease completely from the beginning. We also really value the power of the name. If you look at our reviews, most of all our reviews have specific names saying Jared did a great job, Christian did a great job, we so appreciate the cruise, because we just want to make it really personal. So I think the biggest thing is like, if you are considering us, we really don't just want to be your mover. We want to be, hey, how can we help you along the process? How can we serve you above and beyond? And I think just that mindset has just made so many customer relationships where there's just fun stories where the customer will be say, hey, I want to take all your guys out to eat. We had this one where he's like, I want to take your whole team out to eat. I want you guys to come eat with me. And he took the whole crew out to Godova and just wanted to spend time with them. And then one of the guys even said something about like, oh, so and so will be bummed Cadoba's his favorite place, and the homeowner bought him a gift card. And like
Oh,
just that like relationship, we love hearing those stories. Of they're like, oh, your teammate didn't get to come, well, take this to him. We really have just had amazing customers too. Like I
mhm.
think our biggest success is we have amazing movers and amazing customers, and we've been really blessed. So yeah, not a story, but just that's kind of why we love what we do.
No, it's wonderful. And I think that's the goal of every business, is to strive to be excellent in what you do and deliver that great customer service, so that um you leave people with a smile on their face. They're happy they interacted with you, and kind of like if you pour into a cup, that it overflows, and hopefully that gratitude spills out onto other people and makes, it's just a kindness train
Mm,
basically. So I love that that gets reciprocated back to you as appreciation, but hopefully that also helps them feel um, by that example of service that they want to serve others that way too. So whether
mm.
that's as an employee or as an owner. Um, also wanted to, before we jump off here, wanted to clarify what areas you serve. I know that you're um, willing to go wherever nationally for relocation, but are you focused on just central Indiana, or are you willing to go to Fort Wayne and move people
Yeah,
there?
yeah, great question. So we're willing to go all over Indiana. Our kind of like sweet spot or the bulk of our work is Hamilton County, Madison County, um, and Marion County is typical the majority. And then as far as relocation, so anyone moving out of Indianapolis, will move them to their destination, or anyone coming to the Indianapolis area, will fly out and then move them here. But yeah, that's kind of our niche is those counties, but really we'll try to figure out what works for our customer and if it makes sense for both parties.
Sure. Okay. Well, Leah, what is the best way for people to get in touch with you? I mean, I'm sure we left them jaw drop inspired with selecting their next moving company. So how can they get in touch?
Yeah, probably our website, which is bulldogsmoving.com, or following us on Instagram or Facebook. On the form, they are on our website that has our phone number. They can give us a call if they want to talk over the phone, or there's an inquiry form. They can just fill out all the details, and it walks them through what information would we need, and then we'll give a quick response, able to call back and kind of give them a rough estimate.
Sounds
So email or giving us a call, or social media messages. I always enjoy those too as well.
Sounds great. Well, thank you, Leah, for your time. Everybody, if you can make sure to support this local small business or share them with a friend, that's how we make these great businesses stay in business. So please consider referring them to your friends and family. And Leah, thanks again for coming on. Super appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you, Jessica. I really enjoyed our time tonight.
Have a great night, everyone.